Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, rather strong Crypto Sunday, I'm sure for most people, or especially if you're in Solana, of course. I'm up about 19% or 85,000 quid, maybe a little bit disingenuous, as you know, or some of you may know, on the Solana side, I'm still mainly in the ETFs, in the NFTs, sorry, which are sort of underperforming still, sort of waiting for that wealth effect maybe to start sort of rolling back into NFTs. You know, people have sort of made a fair bit on the Sol itself, and they think, well, maybe spend a little bit of that on an NFT, and sort of some of the actual use of mine sort of starting to push on. Sort of various games and sort of portfolio trackers and that sort of thing. So yeah, we'll have to see. I still think there's potential for me to actually realise more than this Sol value in the NFTs, sort of in a strong bull market and sort of a rising wealth effect. It's sort of been noted before that something like the Rolex price of Rolexes tracks sort of relatively closely to NFTs. Just that sort of, you make a load of money in stocks maybe, and then once you make that money in stocks, people then buy a Rolex, and sort of, it would lag basically, and it would sort of take a bit of time to get going again. The stock market would lead, you would think, the price of Rolexes, because people need to make the money first before they buy one. So yeah, just a little note on there, since it has provided the bulk of the gain, and it's showing 33.6% of my pie. But yeah, we'll have to see. So the CoinShares report, very, very quiet again. $48 million of inflows, or had 3 weeks of very, very quiet time leading up to the Trump inauguration, which is now tomorrow. Everyone getting very, very excited. This has been sort of largely due to Ethereum. So this is not including this week. This is the week before. As always, Bitcoin 214 million and Ethereum 255 million of outflow. 23 into the multi-asset, 15 into Solana. That's not too bad. But again, 41 million into XRP. So it's another 5% of AUM, 438 million this year. So yeah, interesting. Binance minus 0. Very, very small rounding error there. And yeah, a few others, Litecoin, Cardano, a little bit of short Bitcoin as always, and some others. By country, again, sort of very, very volatile. 10 million into Australia, a little bit into Brazil, a little bit into Canada, and reasonable amount into Germany, but outflows out of Hong Kong, Sweden, and Switzerland, and only 79 million into the US, if you take sort of Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything all combined. But yeah, looking at the more recent flows on Bitcoin, at least for this week, sort of had a couple of negatives to start the week, and then 3 very, very strong days of almost entirely in the black. One outflow from Grayscale, but 2 inflow days even to the big boy expensive Grayscale. So you always know, I always think people are maybe getting a little bit of FOMO if you've got that much going into everything, and even Grayscale, the original. But yeah, 755, 626 million, and then 975 million, and even that's without ARK. So when you sort of in the green on everything, you sort of expect ARK to maybe have 100 million, maybe 200 million of that. So would expect we're looking at $1 billion day for Friday. So pretty strong. On the Ethereum side, we've sort of looking a little bit up. As you can see, the CoinShares report was sort of reporting this outflow week. Not particularly good, pretty much red every day. But it's now been sort of largely in the positive. We had 39 million out on on the Monday. Small inflow into BlackRock, but outflows out of both grayscales, even the cheap one. But then sort of a flat day pretty much on Tuesday, and some sort of reasonable inflows as far as Ethereum's concerned. Sort of 59 million, 166 million, and then a 23. But good to just see consecutive positive inflows. So yeah, quite good. So this seems to be a good portion of why Solana is rocketing up. Trump launching a meme coin just days before the inauguration. Obviously, there's been hundreds of meme coins related to Trump, even just named Trump. So I would imagine people wanting to buy this meme coin are probably buying, you could say, the wrong ones. I'm not sure there really is a right one, but his one at least. Because you can type in Trump and there'll be, maybe 100 all called exactly the same name, and you have to find the exact contract address for his one, and it's sort of all a little bit strange on Solana, but that's the way people like the casino. And yeah, it's well, unsurprisingly, I suppose, done incredibly well. So by Saturday afternoon, it's come from basically nothing to $5.5 billion, according to Coin Market Cap. And yeah, the company own 80% of the tokens that Trump is sort of affiliated with. It's unclear how much he might make. And he said, "My new official Trump meme is here. Time to celebrate everything we stand for, winning," on Truth Social. So yeah, a meme coin. Obviously noted that he's done, I think, 3 sets of NFTs at this point. So it just seems to be doing everything he can to try and show that basically crypto will be okay. Sort of people were saying if he can release NFTs, then NFTs you would think are fine. If he can release a meme coin, then meme coins are fine. I don't really think there's been much SEC action against meme coins because they're basically not promising a return, and there's sort of basically no team behind them. They're not sort of saying that they're changing the world. It's just a meme coin, so you can't say that you were expecting profit. But yeah, so 200 million of Trump's coin have been issued, and another 800 million will be released in the next 3 years. I mean, usually these meme coins tend to sort of die down after a week or two. I mean, it'd be interesting if this one is officially Trump's one. It might have, it might have legs for a little while at least. I think even sort of, dog whiff hat sort of started out at nothing, and it's now sort of still one of the biggest ones. So some of them do last, but yeah, have to see where this one goes. So we had still another buy from MicroStrategy. I kind of thought they were in their blackout period before earnings that they have to do, but maybe it's sort of the next 2 weeks or something. He hasn't tweeted. It's sort of, we've been getting this continued run of him tweeting that the chart of buys, people sort of have a chart of buys with dots on the price of when he's bought, and he keeps saying that chart is missing a dot on sort of Saturday or Sunday, and then Monday you get this tweet that they've bought, and I don't think he's tweeted that the chart is missing a dot. It's kind of ridiculous that we're tracking this sort of stuff, really. But yeah, on Monday they bought 2,530 for 243 million. 95,972 per Bitcoin. So we're now at sort of 104. It's looking a little bit of a better buy than what he has been doing at least. And yeah, they've took themselves up to 450,000 dead. So I'm guessing he bought exactly that amount to get them to that. Maybe it allows them to go into the standstill period with sort of a very nice round number. And yeah, average is still 62,691, which is pretty good, I would say. Not sort of pushing that up too much. He has been obviously pushing this up an awful lot. It used to be sort of 40,000 not so long ago. So yeah, fairly good news, I would say. So this was quite funny. Obviously, Gary Gensler has said that he would be leaving. I guess he formally sort of announces his resignation tomorrow. And yeah, people are sort of piling in with the ETF filings. On January the 17th, at least 4 proposals were submitted. You got ProShares submitting a Solana futures ETF. So this is sort of what would be seen as required under sort of the old rules for a spot ETF. They're noting CME futures aren't yet available for Solana. That sort of seemed to be the trigger that required a futures ETF. So you had CME futures, then a futures ETF, then a spot ETF. But I don't know. I think, to be honest, the new SEC administration should be a little bit more sort of quick to get these through, and maybe not say that you need to go down this sort of arbitrary path, really, like having a Sol ETF just because you've already got a futures ETF may not be required, and they have sort of basically hinted at that. So yeah, we'll have to see. Volatility Shares had filed a similar application in December. Guessing they're sort of timing these so that the first deadlines are in the new administration's time. I think there are some sort of due to be first date of next week, so I can't imagine they will go through. They would just get punted out for the next date. It seems a little bit quick for the new administration just getting in and approving things on sort of day 5. And then you had CoinShares, used to be Valkyrie Funds, filing for the CoinShares digital asset ETF, which would track an index. I've sort of said I thought this would be a kind of backdoor into being the first one with sort of something like Solana or XRP in an ETF, because they would already have the ETF tracking the index, and then as soon as Solana or XRP could sort of legitimately be called not a security and sort of somewhat okay, they can just straight away say, well, it's in the index and we'll have it, so we'll put it in at market cap weighting, and our ETF would be sort of 10% Solana or whatever it ends up being. So yeah, I always think these index ones are an interesting one, and I'm fairly bullish on sort of the idea that these could end up taking quite a large slice of the industry. Obviously, people like their S&P 500 and Nasdaq ETFs sometimes far more than individual stocks. So yeah, I'll have to see. ProShares going absolutely bananas as well. Leveraged XRP ETFs, inverse XRP ETFs, and futures XRP. Bitwise, Canary Capital, 21 Shares, and Wisdom Tree have already submitted spot XRP. I think those are the ones that go in for next week, so expect those to just get punted out. You got Tidal DeFi filing a digital asset debt strategy ETF. So I think we sort of mentioned these before, investing in debt instruments tied to the crypto ecosystem. So your MicroStrategy and what's the name, Marathon Digital debt and that sort of thing. Other companies sort of doing similar. I don't think you want entirely debt based on sort of issuing debt to buy Bitcoin, because it is sort of not diversified at all. Then it is all debt sort of tied to one thing. But yeah, I'm sure they're going after some other stuff as well. And then Vanek submitting an on-chain economy ETF. That sounds like sort of what is just already out in the industry. Software developers, crypto-focused firms. So yeah, you're going to get, miners, Coinbase, MicroStrategy, that sort of, not really anything new, to be honest. But yeah, so Gary Gensler sort of last day of working is January the 20th. That'll be a, shuffle some papers and basically pack your bags day, I would have thought. Eric Balchunas sort of noting he's not even out of the building for 5 minutes, and the ETF industry unload a massive crypto filing frenzy. And you also had, earlier this week, SEC Chief of Staff Amanda Fisher announcing her resignation, and Internal Revenue Services Commissioner Daniel Werfel would reportedly step down on Inauguration Day. So a lot of people are just saying, I'm out, get in whoever you want, and yeah, wouldn't be the worst thing. So this, I think, as I was saying before, is just Trump's idea of basically doing whatever he can to bolster sort of crypto and the industry without actually having to do anything. So he was sort of in discussions recently and said that somebody proposed the idea of a strategic reserve for crypto other than Bitcoin, and he said that he was receptive to it. So, you know, you can say you're receptive to it and then have nothing really happen and that sort of fade into the background, but it sort of in the short term provides a fairly decent sort of pump and everyone talking about it, and just focus on the industry. So this would be a sort of strategic reserve he's put for US based coins, not just Bitcoin. So Solana, XRP, both sort of headquartered in the US. USDC, I mean, not really sure there's that much to get sort of bullish about holding USDC. That's just more dollars. But yeah, I suppose it's US. A lot of people sort of heavily criticising this, saying very disappointing if anything like this happens. They're not, I'm guessing they're not all that bothered about a strategic Bitcoin reserve, but yeah, the idea of sort of having Solana or XRP, very disappointing if true. Credibility goes to -1. David Bailey, who I think is a sort of fairly Bitcoin maxi, who's calling XRP Kamala coin. I'm guessing because they donated a fair amount to them. Could be just sort of XRP hedging. Sounds like they maybe had a dinner together and were discussing various things. Yeah, strategic Solana reserve. Things are about to get real stupid real fast. I think this is just to stir up a frenzy, get people talking about it, and basically it's not going to happen. But it's Trump's way of sort of getting it in the media for free, basically, by saying one word: receptive to just things that other people are saying. Not as if he's come out and said, I would like to do this. All you've got to do is say, oh, that's interesting, and you get a ton of headlines about it. More states in the US as well going for strategic Bitcoin reserves, or at least proposing a bill. I mean, these could all just get thrown out quite easily. It's like 12, 13 of these now. Wyoming have gone for one. I kind of thought Wyoming would have been already on the list, to be honest. I was surprised to see them be, 13th. They've always been sort of fairly pro crypto. And Cynthia Lummis is the senator for Wyoming. So, yeah, kind of surprising, but there you go. Sort of know that Cynthia Lummis is probably going a little bit too far with this, 200,000 Bitcoin buy per year. She's talking about selling all of the gold or selling a load of the gold to fund it, or maybe revaluing the gold, doing something with it to fund Bitcoin purchases. Obviously, if we know if that were to sort of go ahead, then there's probably no ceiling to what Bitcoin could go to. Buying 200,000 Bitcoin, sort of just the buying alone from anybody would be strong, but the idea that the US is buying it, you then get other countries probably trying to front run that, and people trying to front run it as well. And if they don't then back out on that buying, they're buying sort of money no object into a frenzy, and yeah, it'd go ridiculous. But I can't see them buying sort of 200,000 a year. I think people will probably be a little bit disappointed over the next few months if they're expecting that. But yeah, we'll have to see. She's sort of trying to stop them selling the 69,370 Bitcoin from the Silk Road. Not sure whether that will go ahead. If it hasn't already been sold, then I suppose that could be a fairly easy executive order to keep that. But they're saying legally they are entitled to it. There's also, I think, a similar amount, or maybe sort of 70 or 80,000 from the Bitfinex hack, which those are saying, they're entitled to it as well. I think, from what I was hearing, Bitfinex actually made the people whole at the time. So yeah, the that wouldn't actually go back to the people. It would just stay with Bitfinex and sort of possibly be given to Tether to sort of bolster their reserves. So you would think they would basically hold on to it. So yeah, maybe not the worst thing. And Senator Lummis is going after the FDIC as well, saying that they've destroyed Operation Choke Point 2.0 documents, which is quite an allegation. I think this is sort of just her sort of going after whoever she can, basically. But yeah, quite interesting. I sort of kind of thought this choke point would be basically ended and would just sort of get swept under the carpet, and it'd be better for the industry that it's not going on, but it just kind of gets forgotten about. But quite a few people do seem to be wanting to sort of make a really big deal out of it, and yeah, it doesn't really look good for the SEC and sort of the banking industry and yeah, everyone really. Well, I suppose the banks they had no choice basically to do it, but yeah, doesn't look good on all of them. And we had the hearing from Scott Bessent, so it sort of seemed to be fairly positive. Sort of 3 hours, fair old grilling, saying getting lots of different questions. You could sort of read the list of questions given to him by, or put in advance to him by Elizabeth Warren. She's obviously not one to back down and is still sort of wanting to push the industry. And yeah, there was sort of some crypto bits and pieces in there. They sort of put to him about a central bank digital currency. He says, I see no reason for the US to have one. It's for countries who have no other investment alternatives. Many of these countries are doing it out of necessity, whereas the US, if you hold US dollars, you can have a variety of very secure US assets. So, yeah, that was kind of slapped down, basically. Sort of noting that he was part of Soros's fund management in the past, and yeah, it seems to be sort of very positive. It's sort of worth saying that when Gary Gensler came in, everyone was saying this sort of sounds really positive. Looking to his lectures and things at MIT teaching crypto, and people were saying, well, if he was teaching crypto at MIT, then he's got to be positive. And then obviously we got the real Gary Gensler sort of being basically a puppet sort of for the government. Everyone knows the Elizabeth Warren whispering in his ear photo has sort of been widely used in memes and stuff. But we'll see what Mr. Bessent sort of ends up like. I thought it was worth taking a quick look at DeFi Llama just to sort of see, we've had sort of fair old pump since the election, and whether there's sort of any substance to these price gains. Are we getting total value locked, more DeFi use, stable coins and fees and that sort of thing? So yeah, looks like you've had a fair amount of gain in USD value of Ethereum total value locked, but I always like to flick it on to in ETH terms so you can see whether sort of people are actually sort of staking or unstaking and using protocols rather than just the price going up. So you sort of had 30 million Ethereum locked up at the beginning of last year. Sort of rose to 41 million at in the middle of the year, and they're now at 48 million. So it's doing pretty well, has to be said. Look at sort of fees, and yeah, fees are down. Obviously, the burning has not been happening, as I've sort of noted before on ultrasound money. A lot of it still is on the layer 2s, but what it is becoming a huge place for stable coins. So sort of noted before that the stable coins were sort of relatively even at one point with Tron, sort of 60 billion each. For a large part of sort of 2023, that was the case. And yeah, strangely enough, since the election, you sort of had 80 billion leading all the way up to pretty much the election, and then November the 5th was basically the bottom of that, or November the 6th, 85 billion, and then you had this enormous rise up in the last sort of 2 months to 115 billion. So yeah, what is that, 30 billion in sort of just over 2 months rise, and they're now basically sort of double the value of Tron. So I thought that was quite interesting. Why people are sort of wanting to use so much stable coins on the ETH top chain, because it is very expensive. Tron has sort of basically, plateaued out, sort of 58, 59 billion. It was that sort of middle of last year, and Ethereum is the one taking all that value. You sort of look at Solana. Obviously, we've had, in USD, an enormous rise up in Solana. Even sort of the last couple of days, that's not sort of a ton of people using Solana a load more. That's just the price going up. So that's why I always flick it on to in Solana terms, but it is going up at a sort of much more steady and healthy rate. So just sort of comparing, where are we? Sort of in the same way as I compared Ethereum, you sort of had 38 million Sol locked up in sort of beginning of last year, rising to sort of 63 million in middle of last year, and they're now up sort of at 100 million, slightly over 100 million. So that's sort of, yeah, 2.5 to 3 times. Very strong, I thought. Looking at fees as well, obviously a lot of this is meme coins, and sort of it was, relatively quiet, sort of a couple of thousand Sol in fees going back to the team, and then you had meme coin mania, sort of 10,000 per day, and sort of rising up to 20, 30, 50,000 after the election. And then I'm guessing in the last sort of, this is literally today and yesterday, it sort of rocketed up, presumably on this Trump coin. So yeah, whether it, a lot of people will say whatever the fees are accruing for, it doesn't really matter. Fees are fees, and this is sort of going back to validators, a little bit going back to the team, and provides a nice bit of revenue. And stablecoins as well. You sort of had this enormous drop off back in the bear market in sort of July to December 2022, and sort of since then it's been sort of stair stepping up, I suppose, up a little bit, or up quite a lot, and then down a little, up again, down a little, and yeah, sort of been rising up reasonably well, and then sort of, this year, really, it's started to sort of really push up. You're at 5 billion at the beginning of this year, and then it's rocketed up to 7.29 billion. So very, very strong. Not quite sure why it's risen up so much, but pretty good. And I do just, having owned Cardano before, I like to have a quick look at Cardano, just see sort of how they're doing. And sort of on the face of it, you would say, oh, TVL is up. But again, this is rocketing up around the time of the election. And this is just US dollar value of the token going up. You actually sort of look at it in Cardano terms, or in ADA terms, it's down on the last year. 660 million ADA last year, now down to 497, and I mean they're down, quite a bit since the election. Sort of had a little bit of a spike up to 710 million, and then yeah, they're down to under 500 million today. So not great. I mean, that is pretty much a year of downtrend. And you look at stable coins, it's again people sort of, you get Cardano bulls will sort of show this chart and say, look, stable coins are up over the last sort of 2 years. That's amazing. But they're not comparing, they're not looking at the actual numbers. They're just looking at a chart going up, and they're not sort of comparing it to other projects. So, at the peak here, sort of peaked at the end of 2023, and has sort of, actually slightly higher peak around December, but $24 million. If you sort of looked at Solana, obviously at $7.3 billion. So Solana is at 330 times what Cardano have in stablecoins, and they're sort of, I suppose 3x the market cap now, but 330x in stablecoins. Sui is a smaller project than Cardano, and they have, I think, 20 times the stablecoins. And Ethereum, we just saw, has 5,000 times the stablecoins of Cardano. Maybe the Cardano faithful say that it's not really a stablecoin platform, but their original sort of thesis back, in the Ethereum days when this was sort of coming out was, it's cheap fees. It can be sort of, what Solana was sort of becoming. That was what people were originally saying about Cardano. It can do things that Ethereum can't because of the cheap fees, and sort of stable coins were, put out as an idea for that. And just, it basically shows that people want to use your chain. So looking at coins for the week, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Bitcoin up 11.8%. Solana, obviously partly off the back of this Trump meme coin, is up 47%. I'm obviously going to have to wait a little bit longer, certainly, to realise some of this value. It could end up being quite a bit more than I'm showing here, but we'll have to see. Ethereum is down 1.15%, so that Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio is struggling. Chainlink up 14.75%, pretty good. Gala down 0.75%. Quant up 0.8%. Power Ledger down 12%. That's sort of worst performer for the week. VeChain up 10%. Internet Computer down 1.3%. Audius down 2.2%. Basic Attention Token down 4.7%. And Polygon up 1%. So, yeah, most of the altcoins sort of either aren't doing anything particularly good, or, are down. So, very interesting week. Leave your thoughts in the comments if you guys are, ecstatic over the Solana rise, and like and subscribe. See you soon.